I'm really excited to chat with you today, Krys, about dreams and spirituality and how that combines with our waking life and all this interesting topics. So I will let you introduce yourself, and then I'll tell you a little bit about me as well. But I'm really excited to hear your story about how you got into spirituality and all the
Mm,
awesome things you talk about.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Amina, for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun. I am Krys, a spiritual specialist and noeticist and an ether physician. So I got into this work because as a kid, I had a lot of supernatural and paranormal experiences. And being raised Christian, there wasn't a lot of room for anything outside of the box. So I needed to find answers about why the things that were happening to me were happening. And so, one thing led to the next. I had a lot of interesting encounters with, I'm going to say, interdimensional beings in college, in post college. And then one day I'm driving to work, way back whenever I used to be a teacher. And I remember just starting to research, like, what is God? Who is God? And that led to one thing, led to another. And then after that, I kind of leaned back onto my meditation experiences I had in college that was introduced to me by a college professor. Things got really deep from there. I started to have star contact, getting insights and downloads. And then, boom, one day I wake up and I'm here on this podcast. So that's the short version.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Wow, that's a lot to unpack there. It seems like a
Mhm.
really interesting journey you had. So question, just so for the listeners and I guess for myself too, to really understand, what is noeticism? What does that mean?
Mhm. Yeah, so noetics is basically, you can think of it as
Noetics.
being able to access the ether or the Akashic records at will and downloading information that you don't find externally. You just know you're a noeticist. So I have a noetic mind where I can do that. I can tap in and get information that's needed, at least clues to it, and I just know it when I need to know it from my own internal guidance system. And this is what I teach in our upcoming Cosmic Academy, through the work I do with Cosmic Frequency. So,
Cool. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I can relate to that a lot. I mean, through my
mm,
spiritual journey, I started to just sometimes get downloads and just kind of feel like I just knew certain things and certain underlying truths about just
mhm,
reality and the universe. And then later on, I would either confirm it through realizing that other people started to think this way as well. And I'm like,
yep,
okay, so maybe I didn't just make that up or whatever.
right,
And then through some interesting spiritual experiences and dreams have been like a big part of that for me. Just like I've always
mm,
been a lucid dreamer, so I've always been kind of existentially thinking in that way about just like what is beyond, like what is life,
mm,
since I was a kid. But then as I started to have like out of body experiences and similar to you, interesting contact experiences and like some unexplainable things, I just started to open up about kind of the realities of what else could be out there and how
yeah,
little we truly know about, the universe as
right.
humans. So yeah, that's really, really interesting. What has your like experience with dreams been like throughout this whole journey?
So it was actually dreams that were the um, common denominator through all these experiences, whether it was from seeing my dreams played out in front of me as a kid, astral projecting through mirrors, sleeping and astral projecting literally through mirrors. To this day, I don't like to sleep in front of mirrors, although I'm getting over that. But it was because of these dreams I would have where I would literally travel through mirrors or beings would come through them. So dreams play a pivotal role overall in spiritual transcendence or the realization of oneself. For me, it's been a recent realization that dreams are not over there and I'm here. It's all one thing. Like right now in this waking life, this is a dream. This is another byproduct of what happens whenever we go to sleep. And so I've realized that the only thing that really changes about dreams is our state of consciousness and the mental agreements and ideas that we hold whenever we're in the dream world and the ones we let go of whenever we are in the waking life. But it's all one dream.
Oh yeah, totally. I realize that as well. It's all just transitioning to, different parts of our, conscious existence. And when I'm lucid in a dream, like last night I had like two lucid dreams and that when I'm lucid, I just really realize the truth of what you're saying because I'm
Hmm.
fully there and I'm present in this experience just like I am right now, fully
Yep.
conscious. So
Yep.
I'm like, this is just as real because I'm experiencing it and it's real to me right now. I'm feeling
Yeah.
everything. So that's so fascinating to me. And what do you mentioned astral projection too? What do you think is the difference? Because I get this question a lot, like astral
Mm.
projection, lucid dreams, OBEs, like what's the difference? Where do the lines blur in your opinion?
So the lines blur in the understanding of what you're dealing with. And what I think is missing from these dream contexts and the conversations is the fundamental understanding of reality. So reality is a super high vibrating principle or liquid like fluid that we call the ether, and that's the medium that literally is all things, and it's interwoven into all fabrics of reality. And so when you have a dream, astral projection, out of body experience, lucid dream, meditation, you're still operating through this medium. And so the connecting point here is it's the same medium, but the difference is one state of vibration or one's thoughts and ideas, right? So right now, our brain waves are vibrating at a certain frequency, probably around beta, right? Because we're having a conversation. We're very alert, we're moving, we're talking. When you sit and you're calm and you're in meditation, you move into alpha, theta, and then gamma. These can be considered different dimensions or different realms. But it's not like dreams or in the astral is something that's up there or over there. It's really a state of mind. So if you think about it, when you go to sleep at night, what's happening? Your body is very relaxed and you are entering into a different frequency bandwidth. So the things that connect you to this physical world, and the world's not even physical, it's just that we put most of our attention here, so it seems physical. But the ideas that connect you to this physical world fall away. So your inhibitions are looser, and you can do more things because now you have access to different frequencies and vibrations in a dream. An OBE is just a higher level of a dream. Lucid dreaming is just a lower level of an OBE, but they're all one thing. It's like pick your favorite, Skittle, red, green, orange, blue. It's the same. I haven't eaten Skittles in years, so that's funny. But the analogy hits. It
Yeah,
works.
that's funny. Yeah, it does. I kinda see it the same way, like, there's levels and you can go deeper, like, some dreams are very surface level, subconscious processing things, and then you
Hmm.
have these dreams where we go deeper into the astral and travel to other places, and we're really, really there. So I definitely think there's levels to it, and
Yeah.
I tell people not to stress over labeling it either, because what matters is the
Bingo.
experience you got too.
Right, right. Yeah, what matters is the experience, and let's talk a little bit about why some people can remember their dreams and others can't. So
Yes.
this is a big thing. A lot of people, I've heard people say, well, it's because their DNA is not activated, or it's because they have too much stress in their physical life. None of those are inherently true. What happens is whenever you're dreaming, again, your thoughts and your feelings are at a different frequency, at a different rate of vibration and oscillation. So you're able to tune into information that you may not have access to when you're here. When you come back to your body, because we astral project every single night, that's what happens. We're not the body, we're the consciousness that animates the physical form. So all of us astral project. The difference is some remember and some don't. So when you come back, aka whenever you retune yourself to this specific frequency, because you're never really leaving, you're just changing the station of your focus point. What happens is there's something called frequency dissonance. So let's say the physical realm is vibrating at like 40 hertz, but if your dreams are taking place at like 90 and then you come back to 40, either your baseline has to have access and be able to interpret 90 hertz or it doesn't. And so that's why people forget, because the frequency dissonance, and that's really that simple. So when you raise your frequency, you're going to remember your dreams much more.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So, what are some ways that people can raise their frequency to start remembering more dreams in general?
So something that I like to teach people when I talk about dreams or out of body experiences is it's not so much about like leaving your body. because that's a misnomer. That thought right there, the second your brain hears, I'm going to try to have an out of body experience, what are you doing? You're creating an association between you and your body. So your mind thinks, well, I am this body. Now I have to do something to
Mm,
leave it. So you
yeah.
have to change your framework of mind from leaving the body to just simply shifting and focusing on the experience that you want to have. And just that alone, you start to, the body is irrelevant. It's not even a thing anymore. You're now associating your consciousness with the experience that you want to have. That's so important. So your state of mind, let go of the idea that if you have to leave your body, you're not your body. The body is the projection of you. So focus on what you want to experience. Two, meditate. Meditation is so important for people who want to raise their frequency. And raising your frequency is not just about feeling good. Raising your frequency in this sense is about changing the pulse rhythm or the rate of vibration, meaning the speed or the velocity. So, something you can do that's really simple is observe reality with a different perspective. So, when you're watching someone walking down the street, imagine them walking really, really slow. This changes your rate of vibration because as you're telling your brain they're walking really, really slow, that means your frequency is raising and going really, really fast, right? It's all relative. So these little things like this, observing how you perceive, enhance your perception, let go of outdated thoughts and ideas. And as you fall asleep, just literally be in the place you want to fly, you're flying. Start flying as you're falling asleep in your mind. Use your imagination. It's the most powerful weapon we have is our power of thought.
Yes, that's beautifully said. Completely agree. I think a lot of that is just, like you said, mind frame,
Mhm.
limiting beliefs, which is a lot about what I teach people with lucid dreaming too.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about like our body's not really going anywhere. The way I see it is more like the universe is just more available to us and we can perceive more. So
Yes.
I think that is a really good way to look at it.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That's literally, you could summarize everything into that sentence. We're just able to perceive more. That's it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you have this scale. Just this is a really simple example, but 1 through 12. And most people can only perceive level one, but 2 through 12 is still there. It's not like you're gaining more, you're just lifting up your own consciousness again to be able to interpret more of reality. And this is why it's really important to strengthen your brain too, like your physical brain, because it's the antenna.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I've been trying to get into meditation more and just practice
Mhm.
certain things with like self-control and discipline and like these things to strengthen my brain. It's hard, but I've been working on that. Even though I'm
No,
already like a vivid dreamer, I know that I can take it to another level.
right. Oh my god, I love that you just said that. Yeah, because something I'm teaching in my upcoming academy is like mental discipline. People they skip over that, but it's so important to be able to navigate your thoughts consciously, and it makes dreaming that much easier because now if you can do it in the waking life, when you're dreaming, your brain it's still able to interpret what's happening, and so now you're going to be able to make those decisions and just simply be more aware whenever you're having those higher dimensional experiences. So you're spot
Yes, yes.
on.
Yes, I love it. And so that kind of leads us to the next thing I wanted to ask you about, which is that connection between dreams and waking life. Like, do they influence
Mm.
each other? I mean, I know they do, but in what ways? And how can we kind of consciously direct that? Like, does the dream influence the waking or does the waking influence the dream?
Now we can continue that thought process with, well, what is the astral and what is the physical, right? So now those two thought processes, how does the waking influence the above and the above influence the below? It's again kind of what came first, the chicken or the egg. I say it happened simultaneously. There was no other way because one cannot be without the other. So one defines the other. The chicken defines the egg defines the chicken. Hot defines cold. Astral defines
Hmm.
physical. Physical defines astral. You know what's so funny? The reason I figured this out was because in my waking life, I would just, pretend I'm playing basketball and like shoot hoops and do things like this. And just, you have a piece of paper, you want to throw it away, you like do the Kobe shot and all that. So I'm doing this here, and night or two goes by, and then I'm playing basketball. Like I haven't played basketball, like actual basketball, in like years. But I'm having these dreams of me playing basketball, like really intense pickup games, and like jumping on like 20-foot hoops and dunking. And I'm like, who is influencing who here? But it's all one thing. So as I'm playing around here, I'm setting the neurological pathways and the frequency pulse rhythms to have an extended experience of playing basketball when I dream. Vice versa, as I am playing basketball in the higher ethers, I now get the impulse here to just pretend I'm dribbling and things like this. So they influence each other and they're direct mirrors of each other. The difference is the physical realm is an agreed upon environment between souls that are conscious and aware for the most part. So is the astral, but again, like you said, we have more access to it. So they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. There's a direct crossover. If you want to change your life, something, you want to, I don't know, change your body, you don't like how, I don't know, you want to lose weight or something. Just dream about yourself, being the woman or man who doesn't have that weight process. Your subconscious will pick up on those signals and transfer them to your conscious, and you'll figure out ways in the waking life to take the physical steps to make that happen.
Yeah, you can really use your dreams to make changes in your life, which might sound crazy to some people, but it's really true. I mean, I do it all the time, and it's just this beautiful, like, flowing connection between the two states. And so, the more like
Yes.
aware you are of that, the more you can direct where it goes. So that's really cool. Another
Yeah.
thing, too, going off what you said, so like our physical reality, there's these laws that we all agreed upon. So, there's like a delay and certain limits of things we can and can't do. And in the dream, especially when you're lucid, there's no laws. You can pretty much do anything you want and have all this fun and, dunk a basketball, whatever. You're not restricted by your physical limitations, so
Hmm.
to speak. So that's really interesting. And
Hmm.
then it kind of makes me think of like, what do you think about like the illusory nature of time? Because, we are here stuck in this linear timeline. But in the dream, sometimes you, like you said, you can see the future, you can see the past, you can make things happen. Where does time play into this? Like, does it really matter?
It does and it doesn't. So if we just take the example of when you're dreaming, you can be in Paris, then you can be in Morocco, then you can be in the States in like 1 second. So why and how is that? How is that possible that you can be teleporting here and here and here, and then climbing a rock cliff, and then diving in the sea, all within like, and you wake up and it's been like 5 minutes. So how does this all happen? What is the nature of time? Well, time is the awareness of being. So when you're aware of being, you start to create time. So in the waking life, what we've done with time is we extrapolated it to mean something external than our thoughts, but it's not. So in the waking life, we confined ourselves to the cell phone that says, whatever time it does, and the clock that says this, and got to have this appointment. So we've encapsulated something that really isn't encapsulated, and we're living this fictitious experience. In the dream state, time is in its true nature. It's simply the reflection of where your focus is and where your thoughts are. So that's why in the dream state, in astral projections and OBEs, you think of wanting to go somewhere, you're there immediately. And there's no time, because there really is no time. And that is a really pivotal thing to start to comprehend. And if you just, anyone who's watching this, just ask yourself, in my dream state, I can do whatever in like 2, 3 minutes. So how can I translate that into my waking life? There's no difference there. Your dream is trying to tell you, let go of the ideas that you're a limited being. There is no time. It's all about your thoughts and your perceptions and ideas.
Yes, that's true. And I think that's a difficult one for a lot of people because they're like, "Oh, I've been trying to do this in my dreams, or I've been working on this or whatever, and oh, it's just not working." People want like
Mm,
instant results, and then like they
that's
go
nice.
into their waking life and they don't see results, and so they're like, "Oh, well, maybe this is just, not working or whatever." So,
Well, that is so right there. That has nothing to do with time. Again, dreams play a pivotal role in like reality. So it's like if you can understand dream world, you can understand the ether, and they go hand in hand. I study this stuff, so this is what I do. Much like you, I study the nature of reality. That's what ether physics is about. But whenever people say, "Well, it's not happening fast enough," dreams are not a one for one. It's not a direct,
true,
exact
yeah.
thing. So, for example, maybe you've had a dream where you're trying to run away from someone, and because you don't want them to hurt you, and it's really intense and scary. How does an experience like that translate into the waking life? Maybe in the waking life, it's not that someone's chasing you. Maybe it's that you're having repetitive thoughts about being afraid of something. Maybe you're afraid of bees or whatever. And so sometimes you have to learn how to interpret dreams through a non-linear sense and think in terms of concepts. See, people want to be very literal and very analytical, like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do, teleportation, which, listen, that's a real thing. I'm going to practice in my dream space. That's great. You come back into the physical, you enter into this lag where now you're in the super frequencies that everyone around you doesn't think it's possible to teleport. So you are directly impacted by the field that you're in. And so sometimes that causes the lag. That causes the lag because the general population isn't on that level. So you have to go even higher and expand your consciousness and raise your frequency even more to overcome the three-dimensional lag. It's not so much that it's not going to happen. It's you got to dig a little deeper and understand how reality actually works.
Yes. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And you actually answered some things that I've been thinking about myself. I totally am growing spiritually and understanding all these truths and things. But I'm realizing that, yeah, we're co-creating this reality. So I've been like
Mhm,
thinking of this idea of like, yeah, I can manifest anything I want and create my own reality and all
mhm,
this and all that, which is true.
mhm.
But yeah, there's other factors to it in the physical. There's other people interacting and co-creating it. So, it's something to take into account.
Yeah, we can take it into account. Not that it's not possible to overcome it, and that's all that like a highly advanced being does is it raises above its immediate circumstances and environment and starts to operate with higher principles. So this is something that we can do. It's not that like we're held back. It's more of, yeah, just be aware. There's a term called the hysteresis of the ether, meaning there is a lag principle. Hysteresis means a lag. So there's a lag principle in reality for a couple of reasons. One, so that we can have the experience of our thoughts, so we can watch our own energy play out. And two, you got to be surrounded by people who are able to hold that frequency with you. I'm sure you've noticed like how quickly things actually do start to materialize, manifest in your life since you've developed more, right? You've come online more. You started to be aware of like, oh, I was just thinking about that, and that person just said it. Oh, I was just thinking about that, and like there it is. This is because it's a dream. So once you raise your frequency, you literally start to see your dreams play out in front of you, and your dreams are just your mind. It's your state of awareness. What you think is real and not real is all relative.
Yeah, that's true. I have noticed that it kind of reinforces this loop between the two states. And
Yes.
the more that I, follow my passions and what I know I'm supposed to be doing, and, this dream work, which is just like a huge part of my journey, I connect with more people that are doing it. And that just motivates me even more because then I don't feel alone. And then it just snowballs from there. So, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. So, in short, they both influence each other, and time is really the X factor between the two because it operates differently based on where your consciousness is at that moment.
Yes. I think, like you said earlier, dreams are one gateway of expanding our consciousness and evolving
Mhm.
as humans. And there are other ways to do that, and they're all related, like we said earlier, meditation, all these different things that are known to just expand your consciousness.
Right.
but everybody dreams. So I always say that it's a good place to start. Even if you don't remember your dreams,
Mhm.
you're still doing things when you're sleeping. Your mind is still very active. So
Yeah,
that's why I think, dreams are just my thing that I love teaching and encouraging people about. But there's
yeah.
so much within spirituality.
Yeah, there's so much to explore, and honestly, dreams become that's your niche, and you're really good at it, and that becomes something that you awaken to. You start to again realize that your life is a dream, and that you can access information from dream state, like you really can, because again, you're not directly influenced by the collective conscious, and so as you're dreaming, like I figured out what a noeticist was noetically. I figured it out through my dream. So you're gonna love this. I was sleeping, of course, what my body was, and sometimes I get these words or these phrases, and I'll get them the intuition. I need to wake up and write them down so I don't forget. So years and years ago, I started to write down. I started to wake up in my dream physically to write down information, and then go back and like get more, then write it down. So there's one time I get the word noetic. I'm like, what is noetic? It's so funny because I can hear my thoughts so crystal clear, like hear myself saying, what is noetics? I don't know what it is. Okay, well, so there's this conversation because we really are. A soul is really just a group of ideas, and it's really a thought. It's really just a thought. It's not a thing. It's a conglomeration of frequency, of harmonics. So, I'm thinking this, what is noetics? And I write it down. And then the next day I wake up and I look up the definition of noetics, and then noetics definition. Okay. Relating to mental activity or the intellect. The noetic quality of a mystical experience refers to the sense of revelation. Like,
Yep.
come on,
Wow.
right? So I never heard that word before, heard it in dream state, which what is dream state? Depending on where you're at consciously before you fall asleep, it's a higher field of energy that you have access to. There's information there. If you can translate that information, you can bring it back to the waking life and apply it. Noetics. That's how I figured it out. So cool to me.
That is awesome. I said noeticism earlier. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's the right
no,
use of the word.
that's
Is
accurate.
that
Noetics, noeticism. Yeah.
okay? Good. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That is so cool. I love how we really can get information from our dreams. And this
Yes.
happens so much. I hear it all the time. People are like, oh, I didn't even know this. And I saw it in my dream and I looked it up and it was spot on.
Mhm, mhm.
So that just shows, which is not something that science can easily prove or replicate. And because it's just like a different type of knowledge. And I've always noticed too that sometimes
Yeah.
when it comes to this trippy dream knowledge, it just kind of what's the right word? Evades, like, it just kind of slips away sometimes because
Yep.
I don't know if people are fully ready to grasp it or if, like, the academic world is fully ready to understand it, but it's coming, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You're spot on. And honestly, whether they're ready or not doesn't matter as much because you are teaching it and others like you. And that's what's important. The mainstream is on its own evolutionary path or lack thereof. But
Yeah.
sorry, that was but it's true to a degree. Anyways, yeah, you can get information from dream state. As a matter of fact, the Templars, the true Templars, not the corrupted Templars that everyone thinks are the Templars, but originally there was only about 11 to 12 Templars, and they would have these secret meetings, and their whole goal was to teach that God was within, that the source was within. That was their whole teaching, and their story got corrupted and everything, like anything else pure on this planet for the most part gets taken and turned into something that makes no sense. But their original intention was to teach people the truth and the wisdom of, really, you could say, the cosmos. And they would have a priestess create this elixir that would put their body in this kind of comatose state. The Templar Knights would travel, astral project. They would be commissioned to go on a trip, an astral journey, to figure out information that they needed to bring back. Like, it was a part of their job description was to go there and bring back information to apply to life, to share with the people. And so the priestess would give them this elixir. They would go in and they would be lucid, conscious, and they would travel sometimes for days. She was the only one in the whole entire vicinity who had the antidote to bring them back, to wake up the physical body. And if she didn't do it right, she got, because you could kill them. So she got kicked out, or she got killed because or executed, I guess it's the correct word. But they started to bring back really powerful information. And this is a lot of the reason why and how they got their ideas about physics and about building architectures and structures. It didn't come from this world. All the good stuff exists in dream world, at least to me, in the higher realms, in the cosmos.
Yeah, I agree with that. Wow, that's fascinating. I was gonna say that sounds like a dream job, but maybe it's too much pressure. That's cool though.
No, but that's the thing is there's no limit to this. Like it's just another part of your being. Dreaming is you are that being. Again, not separating the two and really starting to realize that our consciousness expands beyond this physical waking experience. I wish more people knew how to consciously sleep. Most people, I'm tired, and then that's it. But that's a huge portion of your being. That if you had
Yeah.
access to that and knew what was going on, how to use that energy in this realm, then use this realm for that realm. Talk about gods.
Yeah, some people just don't care about their dreams, honestly. I always preach like everybody should lucid dream at least once because that
Mm,
one lucid dream, if it's you can at least be looking around like, oh, I'm in a dream right now. That aha moment of like, I'm really standing in another dimension right now, experiencing this like I
mm,
experienced my waking life. That alone, one lucid dream can change people's whole perspective on life.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, why do you think people don't want to have that experience?
well, I think some people, for one, aren't ready or aren't aware. They aren't aware of the possibilities. Some people are also scared because
Mm,
with dream work comes a lot of like shadow work and
mm,
sometimes nightmares and unpleasant. Like, not all dreams are peachy, fun unicorns, you know?
that's true.
Um, so some people just they don't want to dream. Some people intentionally do things like smoking weed, which suppresses your dreams,
Yes, it
for the
is.
purpose of not dreaming. Yeah, it's like different reasons, I think. Some people just don't care. They're like, "I just wanna go to sleep and rest," and they
Yeah,
think that if they dream a lot, they don't feel as rested, which everybody's different, but it's a journey, and I think, like, with any, training or practice, it takes time to get better at it, and it takes persistence and attention, which a lot of people just don't have the energy for.
yeah, yeah. That's so interesting that that you say people intentionally suppress because they don't want to look at the scary thing. And I think that's a really important thing to share with people is in dream space. The funny thing is because it happens in your waking life too. So people think that, oh well, if I don't deal with it in my dreams, I don't need to deal with it here, but you do. So your thoughts and the core concepts that you hold about yourself and reality always start to mirror back to you, whether you're dreaming or not. So the difference is with dreams, it's much more vivid and much more real. In the waking life, it's not as direct. It's more subtle where it's like, oh man, why does my car keep breaking down? Or man, why does this kind of relationship keep failing? It's like you are trying to tell yourself something, right? So people who might be afraid to dive into their dreams know that you can't die in your dreams. You can't like you're gonna be okay. The best thing that you can do is to face those things because the sooner you face your inner self in your inner turbulence, the more harmonized your life will be. So I would say dreams would be a great catalyst for something like that. You become really, really powerful when you allow yourself to face yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's facts right there.
Mhm.
Do you keep a dream journal or, like, write them down?
In my phone, on my in my notes, I do have a dream folder where I write down my dreams. And this is I didn't do this because someone was like, "Oh, you should have a dream." I did it because it was a natural progression of my state of operation where I would have these dreams, and like I said, I would need to write them down, or these key words. And there's still some that I haven't figured out yet, or maybe I haven't seen how they translated because like I said, it's not a one for one. But I do, yeah, I do definitely keep tabs on my dreams. Not every night, but because I think it gets to a point where you just realize that like you are the dream, and it's like a crossover, so it just becomes part of your unfolding.
Yes, definitely, definitely. I was just curious, and, I always tell people, like, find what works for you, you don't
Right.
have to
Mhm.
obsess over writing down every detail, you
Yep.
can just write down the ones that are meaningful to you or whatever. It's really about building your own practice.
Right, exactly. And what do you think about this is something that I think people would like to hear is body. So we say we have this physical body, but yet when we're dreaming, from your perspective, I know I have mine, but do you think we have a different body? And if so, how? and why?
Interesting. Good question. I do think we are more than just our physical bodies. But we're not necessarily completely disconnected from our body when we're dreaming. I have had these experiences where I have this dream body, and I'm, looking at my dream body. Sometimes it's a different character, sometimes it's
Hmm.
myself. Sometimes I literally roll out of my physical body and I can like see my dream astral hands or whatever.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
there's like this concept, of like the seven bodies that we have, or these different levels of bodies that we have.
Right.
So I kind of go off of that theory, and just based on my personal experiences, I think they're all connected.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this, like those Russian dolls that open up and there's like dolls inside of dolls. It's like we have a body and then we have
Hmm.
a spiritual self. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it still feels like my body. Like when I'm in a lucid dream, I'm looking at my hands and things like that, but sometimes it looks different. Sometimes I don't feel pain, sometimes I do. It just like depends on the dream. And sometimes I'm conscious of my physical body. Either I can see myself sleeping or I know exactly what I had for dinner last night. And
Mm.
some dreams I'm not aware of my physical body at all. I'm just so immersed in the dream
Yeah.
even while lucid. So
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing for people to realize is that whether you're dreaming or not, your body is a reflection of your state of mind, your state of consciousness. So when you're dreaming, you can change your body. Like we got into these avatars because we picked them. We generated the thoughts and the ideas and the concepts that brought forth this avatar. So in dream world, it's the same way. Um, at least through ether physics and cosmic frequency, our thought process is that we don't have any number of bodies. It really just depends on what you think about yourself. So you can generate any kind of body at any kind of time. That's why you can self heal, because your body's not a consistent thing. It's only consistent because you keep thinking about it in the same way. But if you have an ailment or something and you start to focus energy in that place on your physical body, you will heal yourself because the body changes. It's static and dynamic energy. It's the wave and the particle based on your ability to focus. So yeah, I think it's really cool to have different avatars to navigate the dream space in.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. Sometimes it's intentional, like I'll shapeshift, and then sometimes I'll
Yeah.
just like look in the mirror in a dream, which is always fun for me actually.
Yeah.
And I'll just be like somebody else and I'm like, who is that? But I still feel like me, like inside it's my consciousness.
Exactly, and that's it. Yeah, sorry, I got so excited, but that's it. It's like your consciousness is the X factor. It's the consistent theme. That's what doesn't change. What changes is how we perceive ourselves, right? But you're still always there.
Yeah, the concept of the body is so
Mhm.
weird. Like the more I think about it, I don't really know what it means. Cause even if I think about myself now, I don't know if you ever heard people say, like, what part of your body is you? Like, if I were to cut off my legs, I would
Mm,
still be me. If I would cut off my arms, I would still be me.
mm,
If I was
ooh,
just a head, I would still be me. So it's
right.
like, where I don't
See?
know, where are you
That's
in your
good.
body?
Right, you're everywhere. And then it's like, well, where does your body end? Right? Like if you have the consciousness of a tree, are you not like then you realize that's so deep. I'm so glad you said that because that's going to be, and that just shows you right there the body is just the vessel for that, for you, which is a soul, which is a consciousness. And that kind of goes into prophecy. I wanted to talk about this because a lot of my dreams are what is it, not precognition, premonitions. And so let's talk about, because you asked about time earlier, how do premonitions play into dreams and how can we predict the future?
Yeah, and what do we do with that information?
And what do you do with it? Right? So I'll tell you this experience. I was sleeping in my old house a couple years ago, and I woke up at 4 a.m. Didn't know why, but I got the intuition to just sit outside. And I go out. I'm just sitting under the tree. It's like a full moon, and literally the most random thing happened. And we live in like the country. It's not like there's not a lot of traffic. It's like these dirt roads, and this guy comes swerving off the road into our yard, hits the mailbox, and jumps out. He's like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" I'm like, just imagine this. I'm sitting there like in the shadows of the moonlight, and I just stand up. I'm like, "Are you good?" He's like, "Oh my god, who are you? Like, how'd you get here?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Are you okay?" He was fine, ended up being okay. But if you take that, that's kind of how dreams are. This was a physical thing that happened, but I got the premonition to be out there at 4 a.m. because who knows? Something worse could have happened if I wasn't there, but I was able to kind of hold space for this guy. But from his perspective, someone just appeared out of the darkness, like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" Like, so how did I know that was going to happen? Well, because time is not a linear thing. Again, time is the if actually time's not even a part of this equation right now. It's more about how much information you have access to. So you can start to predict the future based on pattern, based on etheric rhythms. So let's say, for example, a pattern: blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, right? If you go far enough with that pattern, blue, green, you can predict from the first 6 colors all the way to the next 1,000 because it's a pattern. So someone who can see the first 6, blue, green, blue, green, blue, green, and then someone comes in and says, "Well, I think in the year 1942, we're going to have green." How'd you know that? They're reading the
Yeah.
pattern. It's the etheric pattern. So when you start to know how to read energy, understand etheric pulse rhythms, you can predict the future because you're seeing into the future, which is just a different frequency of pattern. So yeah, that to me is what prophecy is.
Oh, that makes sense. So what if,
Mhm.
like, sometimes it feels like a dream premonition is just something so random and out of the blue, and I don't feel like at least I can't notice a pattern there, but it'll be just
Mhm.
a random moment in the day, not something that I meant to predict or like a big event or anything like that. So what do you think about that? I usually take it as like a moment of alignment, but I never know like what do I do with this information?
So time is convoluted. The past and the future are just all different states of vibration. They're not places, they're not things. So sometimes you get information from what you would consider the past or the future, and you are just that pinpoint of focus where it kind of just like is realized. And so you could actually be picking up information from another aspect of yourself that you're interpreting here, and it doesn't seem like it's relevant for you here, but it's relevant for you there,
Hmm.
right? So then you get into, okay, well, let me see if I can connect with my part of myself that is having that experience. You'd sit in meditation and just kind of tune in and say, okay, what's up? How is this relevant? And you might see a whole scene play out from Amina in, whatever realm. And then that one thing happens, you're like, oh, okay, so she needed to experience that there. So that's just one way. It's not always about here. Sometimes I think reality shows us that we're part of something much bigger. And we can't think so much about, well, what's happening here in the now. Sometimes it really is about expanding the mind into how is this affecting the greater experience. Dreams can help people in so many ways because they can expand the consciousness. They can help you make sense of your waking life. You can gain superpowers. There's like really no limit. You just are becoming more of your true nature at that point.
How often are you like lucid in your dreams?
I feel like almost every night, at least
Oh, it's really good.
for like a portion of it. I have kiddos running around, so like I don't always get the best sleep, but I would say 90% of the time I'm remembering some portion of the dream, but knowing while I'm in the dream that I'm dreaming. And something that just popped into my head is like fear. So whenever people have fear in dreams and stuff like that, if you have a fear in your waking life, you can use your dreams to overcome it. So this is a silly thing, but there was this movie we watched one time, and it had a bear in it, and the bear was literally terrifying. Like it scared me, and I don't really, not that it scared me, but it just was more twisted than I'm used to. I don't really like seeing like demented and like yucky things like that, and so I started having nightmares about bears chasing me. I was like every night, it was like, oh my god. And so it never really actually hurt me, but it like instilled this fear from this movie I watched. I'm not going to say the movie because I don't want to recommend it to anyone. But in the dream, I decided that one night I said, you know what? I know how this works. I just don't need to be afraid. And I know that if I show up in my dream like fearless, it's going to stop. I literally called the bear in, going to sleep. I said, okay, I'm ready to face you. Like, let's do this. Like, let's get it on, bear. Lo and behold, went to sleep with that intention. And I saw the bear was chasing me through the house, through the woods, and da 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 da. I'm like, I just remember this moment in my dream. I'm like, oh yeah. I got loose and I said, okay, you know what? Stop! I turned around, and just yelled at the bear to stop, and it literally physically got smaller, and it just kind of like tiptoed away. And I was like, okay, good. Have not had a dream about bears since. So
That's
that's
great.
direct correlation.
Yes,
So cool.
perfect example. That is one of my favorite uses for like dream work is like
Mhm.
conquering your fears. And even if it's something, from waking life or something traumatic, you can use your lucid dreams for that. And this is actually scientifically proven that lucid dream therapy is good for like
Mm,
nightmares and fears and things like that. It's kind of like exposure therapy.
mm,
And it's less scary because you're like, okay, I know I'm in a dream, so I can fully submerge myself in whatever I'm scared of,
yeah.
and your brain is still registering that therapy of being in the environment and being
Mhm.
okay and being safe. It's like this safe
Mm.
mode. Yeah, and then when you wake up it has real impact on your psyche, and you slowly start to feel better about it. And like 90% of people that I talk to say when I confronted the nightmare image, it went away. I didn't have the nightmare again.
That's it, because the thing that creates the fear is the feeling of powerlessness, right? And so when you confront something, you are showing that you have power. And so if you have power, then it can't have power over you. So it like cancels each other out. It nullifies, right? That's so important to face yourself and to be fearless in that way. And that goes into the idea of where are our thoughts? Like, so if I asked you, Mina, like you said, if I cut my leg off, would I still be me? Yes. So where are your thoughts? When you're dreaming, where are your thoughts taking place? Or when you're awake?
When I'm awake, I feel like it's kind of centered around like my head. But when I'm
Mm,
dreaming, sometimes it's the dream itself. Like sometimes I'm
mm,
thinking as like the greater entity of the dream, and sometimes I'm just observing and I'm not even in the dream. Mostly I'm in the dream. And then in the dream, it's kind of like this mixture between I'm me right here in my body and I'm in the dream. And sometimes I can see other parts of the dream, kind of like astrally, just like, observing the dream from these greater perspectives. So I think
mhm.
that's a really cool thing about dreams is that our point of view is broader.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And you kind of just said it, but yeah, your thoughts are held, they're not held in the body per se, at least not one localized body. They say we're not our thoughts, but I think it's different. I think we are our thoughts because the thoughts are the experience, are the frequency that we then experience. And, so if we're in this physical world right now, we're having thoughts, but where are those thoughts streaming from? You can't find a thought in the brain. Just like you won't find my voice in my throat. So thoughts, they are a part of the dream all the time. We're always connected to the ether. We're always connected to the astral because that's where thoughts emanate from.
Interesting. Yeah, it
Yeah.
reminds me of this metaphor that I heard once that was like it's kind of like trying to look for the broadcaster guy inside the radio. Like he's not in there, but his voice is there.
Yep.
Um But the other thing too that it wanted made me wanna ask you is what do you think about, like, intrusive thoughts? Like, if we are our thoughts or if we're not our thoughts, and
Hmm.
we have these thoughts, which some people struggle with more than others, that you
Hmm.
don't wanna identify with, like, "I didn't think that, that's horrible, why would I think that?" Like,
Hmm.
where do those come from, and what do we do about that?
So that comes from just being part of the field, right? So if I can use this example, if I have a bowl of cold water and I put one finger in this part of the bowl, another finger in this part of the bowl, is the water still going to be cold?
Yeah.
Right. So no matter if it's this finger, or one here or here, I'm still picking up on the core signature or the feeling or the experience of the bowl of water being cold. So thoughts work the same way. You are in that bowl or in that field, and you're just one of those fingers, but you're going to pick up on the core signature in the other people's thoughts and experiences. We call this a telepathic field. And so everyone's trying to figure out, like, oh, we need to practice telepathy. We are always all telepathic. Those thoughts that you're getting are telepathic thoughts. You just haven't associated it with telepathy because science fiction doesn't show it to you like that. So that's what happens is we're just picking up on other people's thoughts and feelings. And this is why it's very important for you to meditate and get very familiar with your own energetic signature, your specific core frequency. Because once you have that, then if you get an intrusive thought, you will know, okay, this is not my thought. So what do you do with it? It's no different if someone shows up to you and they're being a jerk. What are you going to do? You're going to say, leave me alone, peace, and just go
Right.
do something
I'm
else.
not entertaining that.
I'm not choosing to entertain that idea or that concept. It doesn't fit my perception of how I want to view reality, right? So that's what we do is we just don't we don't associate. That's the word. We do not associate with things that we don't want to experience. Association means agreement. Agreement means experience.
Love that. Yeah, that's great advice, honestly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
So sometimes our dreams show up as memories from what we call past life experiences, or I don't even like to say past life, but simultaneous parts of ourselves. So sometimes, like for me, a lot of it is very cosmic. I'll see different starships and I'll have different experiences on starships. And on one level, it could be, well, is that something that's gonna happen to me, or is this just a memory that I'm having from something that actually has already happened? So learning how to translate our dreams and fitting it into this centralized part of ourselves is really, really important. Not everything is a linear past future. Sometimes it's just that you're picking up on different signals from the greater self, from the larger cosmic self of your own being.
Yes, I love that you said you don't really call them past lives, because I kind of reached that point too where I'm
Mhm.
realizing like they're all parallel. Like if time
Right.
isn't real, which we just established, or it's
Hmm.
not linear like we think it is, then all these past lives, future lives are all happening right now. Like our soul could be living 100 different lives right now,
Yes.
maybe even on the same earth in the same
It
time as
is.
us, which is mind blowing to me.
It is. Well, that's what's happening. So, oh my gosh. Okay. I know we're coming up to the end of time, but this is so important.
It's okay, I'm not
So,
in a rush.
okay. So you could have met your future self already, or your past self, like physically, because time's not
That's
linear. So if,
crazy.
if you're a soul, you choose that maybe you want to have an experience as Amina, and maybe you want to have experience as like Tiffany. You want to have that experience. So you incarnate into different time periods. Maybe Tiffany is, I'm not sure how old you are, but maybe Tiffany's like 45 and Amina is like 27, whatever, right? So one day
28, pretty close.
you're 28.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, see.
Good guess.
So Amina, you're in the grocery store. You meet this woman, and she's really sweet and she's really kind, and you feel very connected to her, but you're not sure why. You have a great conversation, and you're just like, huh, she seemed like a really cool person. She could have been you as that expanded version of yourself at 45 years old, shopping in the same grocery store. And it would make sense because if she's you, then of course you're gonna be drawn to the same kind of food and environment for the most part, but she could have been a future aspect of you. So that's the cool thing about dream and time and astrals. When you really understand what it is, you see it playing out in your waking life. So you definitely can tune into other aspects of yourself here and there and anywhere.
Yes, I love this. I actually just did a whole podcast episode about this, where I was talking with someone about like counterparts and how our dream characters can be other aspects of ourselves. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, yeah. And as a matter of fact, that's like the main way it happens is that. But I think we're so used to, especially mainstream spirituality, past life regression, past, and
Hmm.
this idea, this entrenchment of past creates the idea that a reincarnating or incarnating is a linear thing. It's not linear at all.
Yeah.
Like when you incarnate, it's really about what do I want to experience. And so you can drop off in the year 1999 and 2024 and then 1720, and it's all you, because from that higher perspective, dates, what are dates? They're not real. They're just different frequencies. And so I think this allows us to expand our experiences as people, as humans, as source, as the ether, as a soul, tremendously. Because now, what's the limit? There is none anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's so fascinating. I think that's an important thing for people to start to realize, it's all happening right now. And I've had dreams show me that too, where I
Yeah.
had this like one really profound lucid dream that I always share, and I'll spare you all the details. But in one part
Mhm.
of it, I was in like this part where they were like, yeah, humans aren't allowed here. This is just where spirits hang out to watch you on Earth. And they could
Wow.
literally watch on this big TV screen any
Yes.
time and place on Earth. Like they were
Yes.
watching the dinosaurs, like they were watching what do you call it? Atlantis, ancient
Oh my
Egypt, and they
god.
were watching today. Like they were just flipping the channels, like it's all happening right now.
That is literally, you summarize like all of reality, because that's all it is. See,
Yeah.
and that concept right there is so important for people to understand, because that is more true of time than what we think, right? So it's like the dinosaurs, the ETs, all this, it's all happening now, but like, what is the now? And why does it seem like it's separated? It's only separated by groups of ideas. So for the dinosaur period or the dragon period, that's the whole thing. But anyways, that group of ideas it centralizes here. That group centralizes here. This other group centralizes here. But it's all happening in the source, in the field, in the ether. This goes back to being able to predict things. When you raise your consciousness, now you have access to the field. And what's the limit to the field? There is none. It's just a matter of what you can tune into and what you can't. I watched this movie, I think it's called Planet 51 or something. And this is how that concept was shown to me, like through this movie. Basically, humans went back or traveled somewhere, and they went to this ET planet, but the ETs were like living in like a very like kind of undeveloped civilization. And in that moment, I was like, oh my God, wait. So that undeveloped civilization was happening in the same moment that the advanced humans were happening. Wait, so that means a year is not an actual place, it's just a concept.
Yep.
Like the year 1920 is just a concept. The year 1940 is just a concept. The people in 1920 dress a certain way, they do a certain thing. If I were to change my lifestyle to fit the theme of 1920, it would look like the 1920s, it would feel like the 1920s, but it would still be 2024, technically, by the fake time. But it's all happening now.
Yeah. Wow, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah,
In that
I love
same
it.
dream that I told you about, they also told me, like, anything you see in movies like that or any movies that really touch you is true somewhere, somehow. Like, there's truth
Yes.
in movies exactly how they show it, and they hide it
Mhm.
in plain sight. So that was
Yes.
another message that I got from my dream. So, yes, on that movie.
Oh my
Totally
God.
true.
I love that. Yeah. And it's like, and it's because if you can have a thought of it, then you're generating the experience. Because again,
Yep.
nothing exists without the observer. So it can't be in a movie, it can't be on Hollywood without there being it coming from some form of consciousness, you know? There was this science experiment, you'll love this. There was a science experiment done, I don't remember the years, but it was sometime, I think in the 1980s or 90s. There was this group of like elderly people, and they were just really, really sick and just not doing well, like at all. Some of them had like different kind of cancers and things like that. This group of scientists took these couple elderly people, and they put them in this setting, like in a little town setting that was designed for I think the 1940s. So here the group of people from the 1990s, but they get brought to a setting just like different houses that looked like the 1940s. Cars looked like 1940s. The food was 1940s. The music was 1940s. After the first week, the people became happier. After the second week, their physical bodies started to show signs of positive reinforcement, like they started to become healthier. After the third week, their sickness started to go away. Fourth week, they actually started to show signs of anti-aging. They started to reverse their age, like physically reverse their age. They stayed in there for a while, and they actually got younger, like physically got younger. All their sickness went away. The difference was the year didn't change, right? So they came from the 1990s, but were just put into a different environment. But what happens when you're put into a different environment is that the concepts, thoughts, and ideas change. So their body was responding to the 1940s as if they were there. And so it generated the experience of going back in time and being younger. So much so that
Wow.
their bodies healed. That's what time travel is, really being able to shift your thoughts to a different set of frequencies to have that experience.
Wow,
Are
perception
we doing
is
great?
really everything. That's
Yes.
cool.
Yes. It's
That's
everything,
awesome. Wow.
right? I know. So, and we do that in dreams all the time. We're always shifting our perceptions, but it's like, oh, that was just a dream. It's like, hello? If
Just
you
a dream, what does that even
what does that
mean?
even mean? That was just a dream.
Yeah. No,
So,
for sure. When I'm in a dream, I'm really there, and it has a profound
mm,
impact on me, and
yeah,
yeah, my dream memories, I cherish them just as much as my waking life memories, so.
yeah, yeah. Have you been? What's been like the most impactful thing that you can remember, like from that's kind of been like a life changing thing for you from astral dream space?
Man, there's so many that, like, come to mind. It's been like
Yeah.
this fabric of things that have just impacted me, but that one dream I share, which I called the lucid lesson, that was a big one
Mm,
for me that I just love sharing with people, and I've had other dreams like that where I've, gotten, spiritual knowledge and information, um,
mhm,
that, then later up matches up with other people's thoughts and theories, and I've also had dreams that, like, literally healed me from things, like,
mm,
emotional things and even physical things. But like when I was going through a hard time in my life, I had a dream where I literally found a spirit guide and they like sucked all of this pain out of my body.
mm.
And it was like this really magical thing. So dreams like that have really like helped me. Like when I was struggling to do it in waking life, the dreams have picked me up and put me back on my feet and said, "You're good. You've got this." And I
Wow.
literally wake up feeling I was like healed. I was so much better. I was not, I was still
Yeah.
going through what I was going through, but I was able to handle it because of that dream. And I got that healing from beyond me. I literally was in the
Mm,
dream, like begging my spirit guides, like, please just like heal me. Like, I don't want to feel this way anymore.
yeah.
So things like that, like so many dreams have had an impact on me. And also through like meditations and certain experiences, I've had OBEs as well that were just really interesting. And I will always remember those, like the point of exiting my body and re-entering my body, quote unquote, because it's just such a vivid memory for me. I will always remember what that feels like.
Yeah.
So those just have a special place in my heart.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. So the ability to tune into a higher frequency that then has an impact in this dimension, in this realm. That's very, very real. And you can do a lot of work in like that just through meditation, like you said. That's really powerful. So have you had star contact like with your stellar family as you where I that's how I see it.
Yeah, so I think so. I mean, I haven't had any like really specific, or maybe I have and I'm just downplaying it. I've had a few dreams where I'm lucid and I find a dream character, and one time they told me like, "Oh yeah, my name is," her name was Valeria in this dream. She's like, "I'm an alien and I support you, and I'm an extraterrestrial and I hang out with you and watch you or whatever, support you." She didn't say anything of the fact that we were related in that dream. But there was another dream where I was asking like a spirit guide about like my past, current, parallel lives, and they were telling me how, oh, you were in Atlantis and you were in, some astral star family, but I didn't really get much details on it. So it's still something that I'm exploring.
Yeah.
But I've also had like weird, like psychedelic experiences where I like saw aliens and stuff. So I don't know what to make of those.
Yeah, the psychedelics are a whole other animal and in and of itself.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, because that's where I've gotten a lot of my information is from literally from dream space and meditation. And I find that you can access the same level of consciousness and meditation that you do in dreams, if not more, because you're kind of more in control, I guess you could say. Like you're very much aware of your physical surrounding.
Yeah.
But even sometimes in deep meditation, I get to a point where I do lose feeling in my body, not in a numb way, but I become kind of that like thought being. This is kind of like, all right, well, and then you don't have kind of the monkey mind, and then now your mind kind of goes on autopilot where you're hearing different ideas and thoughts, and kind of it's almost like I'm reading the field. Oh my God, wait a second, this is like Professor Xavier and the X-Men.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
cool.
that's what
Yeah.
it is. He puts the
Yeah.
helmet on. It's kind of like, Psh,
He can see it all, yeah. That
wow.
makes sense. Yeah, I've had experiences like that with meditation, and I'm slowly separating from my body, but I could still see myself. I always feel, like, tethered, kind of,
Mhm.
and I need to get into it more. I'm at the stage where I only meditate, like, 5 to 10 minutes. That's as
That's
much as I can handle, but, hey, it's better than nothing.
that's totally fine. It's totally fine. That was just I don't know how you said that. It was so funny to me. Like just 5 to 10 minutes, and that's all I got. Like, psh.
I'm
But
working on it.
yeah, no, honestly, I set my alarm sometimes for 3 minutes because when you really get good at meditating, you don't need long. You can drop in like really quickly because you've now become the frequency, and so it doesn't take a lot of
Mm,
time to really just like center in. So 5 minutes is great. And if I'm going beyond like 10, 15 minutes, 20, 30, it's because I'm traveling. I'm going to figure something out. I'm, practicing some of my abilities. For me now, meditation is more of a tool to utilize higher functions than like, I want to feel peace and joy. It's like I teach people what I call advanced meditations where you are literally doing that Professor X thing and tapping into the ethers. And so yeah, but I want to respect your
That's
time.
awesome.
I could chat all day.
Yeah, honestly, same. This is my favorite topic. But why don't you like say, where can we find you? What are your links?
Yeah.
What do you want to share? All that good stuff.
Okay. Yeah, this has been amazing. I am Krys Ra El, or Chris Christille, or just Chris, and I teach ether physics through cosmic frequency. And we're going to be launching a cosmic academy in the next couple of days, which is so freaking amazing. Where we'll be diving into all these things: astral projection, ether physics, and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, so my website is cosmicfrequency.org. My Instagram is cosmic frequency. There's not a second E in the word frequency because we took out the ether, play on words. Um, and then YouTube, Cosmic Frequency 9. And what else? I have a TikTok, Cosmic Frequency. And yeah, that's all the places. If you guys want to connect, let me know. Just reach out. Instagram or email is usually the best. And yeah, sign up for the Academy, one-on-one services I offer. I'll be speaking on a Contact at Sea cruise in September. I got invited to a 7-day cruise. You can join me there. I'll be on another podcast in June. And yeah, you'll see all this stuff. Just connect. I'm here.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm excited to follow along your journey and keep connecting. We'll have to do a part 2 sometime.
Yeah, for sure, Mina. Yeah, let's do this again. I think there's a lot to explore with Dream World. You're a great host, and I can tell that you've done a lot of research just from your own inner experiences. So that's really powerful. That's noetic mind. So well done to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And people can find me on thedreamworldpodcast.com or the Dream World Podcast on all social media. So
Beautiful. All right, my friend.